what's up you guys? Joe Dobby here, back at it again with another deck profile for you today. And this is what I would say a super rogue deck, because to some people this deck hasn't been played since BT 1.5. And I updated it to fit the EX meta and, well, for the EX cards. So yeah, let's dive right into it. So this is my Malomyotismon deck that I played at the 177 player tournament for that Gyroshan hosted with GG Tour. Shout out to you guys, that was awesome. It was a cash tournament with a Digimon playmat prizing. That said, I went 3-3. As you can see, my matchups are below. And it felt good, you know, for a non-meta deck. I'm glad that it performed the way it did. There were a lot of close calls, and overall, it was a very enjoyable play. And as long as I didn't brick, I was able to do a lot of things. Jesmon, unfortunately, I bricked in that matchup, and it was a hard brick. It is on Gyroshan's stream. I literally, at some point in both games, had a bunch of level 5s or a bunch of level 6s and options in my hand, even if I only play 4 to 5 options or so. But that said, I'll dive right into the deck right now. First and foremost, the eggs, Demi-Meramon, and 4 copies of Sunamon. Now, usually it would be the reverse in Malomyotismon because you're deleting Arukenimon and Mamimon, but there are a number of reasons why Sunamon is actually better, and I will show you the main combo that I play when you actually don't have Malo in your hand or trash. So there is a way to actually cycle for that last couple checks to see if you want to trigger the when attacking effect or not. Next, we are going to be going to our rookies. We got 4 copies of the Gabumon from the structure deck. This is literally one of the reasons why I play the Sunamon, because it's easy to cycle through your deck. You can potentially draw into the Malo, triggering this effect before you trigger the Mamimon or Arukenimon, allowing you to discard your card, aka the Malomyotismon, and play it if you happen to open with Mamimon early. Very good card there. Next, we are running 3 copies of Tsukaimon. Good for that gain 1 memory. It's a pretty neat combo with a blocker on top, especially if you have Malo out, because you're gaining 2 memory when you block. Unfortunately, Jesmon has piercing, so you could potentially end your opponent's turn, but they still get the checks in and they could still go a little bit wider, which becomes a bit of an issue. And being put to 1 sometimes is unfortunate. So you have to be very careful with how you use Tsukaimon, the blockers, and the Malo interaction. Next, we're running 3 copies rather of this Impmon. So this Impmon is super cool. Obviously, you guys know it from BT6. On play, you may trash a card in your hand to get a card with Demon Lord. So this is a very good tech option to play for the deck because I run Beelzemon as a supporting Mega. In addition to that, Malomyotismon is a Demon Lord. So if you open with Arukeni and you are somehow forced to trash Malo, you can get it back and then actually resolve Arukeni's effect from raising or when it's on the board or whatever. Very good card. Lastly, 2 copies of Gazimon. It actually came clutch in security control and all that good stuff. It forces your opponent to use a less than efficient Javulch Former or some kind of removal to get rid of it, leaving your other targets safe and actually forcing a huge memory swing when you have Malomyotismon out, so that's really good. Next, we've got 4 copies of our structure deck blocker Devimon for the 4 slot. And natural 1 cost Evo, super quick to turbo up. I prefer the 1 cost more than the 5k or 6k DP, aka Vilemon comparison, which is why I run him at 4. And here's a card that you wouldn't think to see, actually, in Malo, Kinkakumon. So Kinkakumon is a very strong card because it allows you to trash a card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. So if you have a Malomyotismon out and a Beelzemon stacked with Kinkakumon, or even just a level 5 over this Kinkakumon, you can delete a rookie and gain a memory off the Malo. In addition to that, when you combine this kind of interaction here with a level 5, one of the things you can really do for sequencing is if you're looking for your Malomyotismon, you can swing with Mamimon or Arukenimon, trash a card with Kinkakumon, draw for Sunamon, If it is not a Malo, then you trigger Gabumon when attacking, draw 1, trash 1. If it is a Malo, you now have the option to decide whether you want to trash it for Mummymon or keep it for Arukenimon. You still get that extra secondary draw as well. So if that is the Malo, you can trash it. And if it is an Arukeni that you have, you can just, straight up use Arukeni for the Malo. So there's actually 2 extra chances that you can get to bring out Malomyotismon in this sequence, which I think is really strong. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Next, we're running 2 copies of the Vilemon because he's a 6k blocker, yada yada yada. Very strong card to bring out with Zwart especially. The reason why I'm not running Mechanorimon in this deck and I've opted for the 2 Vilemon is because you can Digivolve into Mummymon or Arukenimon. Though hindsight, because I am freely bringing out Mummymon and Arukenimon, it might be better to bring out Mechanori. So just some food for thought. However, I only run 10 level 4s, and I think if I cut the Vilemon, I'll end up at 8 level 4s, which is not super cool, actually. 1 copy of Ogremon because he's pretty awesome. You may trash 1 card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So you can trash a Malo, once again. Being able to play for that Malomyotismon with the Mummymon or the Arukenimon is huge. Being able to see Malomon is huge, or Malomyotismon is huge. And yeah, you want to bring out multiple Malos ASAP. For our level 5s, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Arukenimon. Just a refresher for you guys, when attacking, you pay 3 memory to play Malomyotismon from your hand, and then you delete this Digimon. So there's multiple lines of play that allow you to play Malo for free, effectively. I run Analog Boy in the deck, I run Tsukaimon in the deck, and on deletion, the entire stack gets deleted, so I do gain the memory off that. So technically, you can play Malo for 2, 1, even 0 memory, and it's pretty awesome. So very good card overall. Next, we are running 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Mummymon with the same exact reason. The only thing is you play Malomyotismon from trash instead of your hand. So there's a lot of play around with the ratios there. Whatever's comfortable for you is fine, but I want to make it as consistent as possible because I try to face competitive decks with it. 1 copy of Chimeramon. This card came absolutely clutch against cards like Shakumon that people were running in security control. It came absolutely clutch when I would run Zwart. Because I would just kill something. Usually I'd kill a blocker, and then Zwart can, effectively swing if I have Mega Digimon Fusion and all that, and kill something else, and then just, it just turns into a very big, very big momentum shift, especially if you have Malo out. 4 copies of the boss himself. Not a lot of people notice, but Malomyotismon does have piercing. So, if your opponent's swinging early, for example, in Agubon, if that Greymon with the 2 checks or whatever does survive, Malo can swing over it and trigger piercing, and you gain a memory, and it's a very good card. I can't wait for BT8. 13 cost to play means it plays around things like, Onslaught if you got the Zwart out, and if you got the Beelzemon out, you can kind of like have different play costs to throw off your opponent's ability to efficiently use removal. Next, we've got 3 copies of Beelzemon. This guy is super clutch because I can actually warp Digivolve into the Impmon, and you can actually quite easily keep turn when you have Malo out and you're at 2, 3 memory or whatever. You can warp Impmon into Beelzemon, deleting something and gaining a memory back for that deletion, and it's come in quite clutch. Sometimes I'd literally just end my turn warping into Beels and into Zwart with win rate. That's happened 1 time, and I could put my opponent to like 2, 3 memory and delete something and have like 4 bodies out, which is awesome. Next, for the last of the Digimon, we're running 3 copies of Zwart. Okay, so this guy actually has to be a 4 of. I only ran him at 3 in this tournament because I could only find 3. I did have an alt art, but I didn't want to break into the the top loader for this tournament. So I'm running him at the 3. But if you run him at the 4, I highly suggest you cut win rate. Win rate doesn't really do much, especially if you see your mats and analog boys give you more than enough memory to do a bunch of stuff. So you don't actually need win rate as often. Through testing and through this tournament, I realized he only came in clutch once. Kind of useless. But yeah, 4 Zwart is the wave, but you basically spam Malo through using Zwart, and then if it sticks, it deletes something. And it usually will, apart from facing security control or like, you know, like black decks with, what do you call it? Black decks with D-Digivolve. Next, 1 copy of Matt Ishida. Matt Ishida. So Memory Tamer, you know, if it hits in security, great. If not, and you're bricking, you can at least hard play it and put your opponent to like 4 tops. And, you know, you'll be at 3 for the rest of the game. So sometimes that comes really clutch, especially when you're kind of already behind and you really need to get into Malo. This allows you for a safe evo into a level 5 and to use the effects. The star actually is the Analog Youth. So helps me unbrick, helps me search for pieces I 100% need, and it allows you to actually gain memory whenever you trash a Mummy or Arukeni that has Digivolution sources. And most of the time they will, because I usually have to bring out Malo first before I go into Zwart. So when I do that, there are sources. I don't just hard play Mummymons and Arukenimons out of nowhere. So yeah, it allows you to also hatch an egg, which is big because Malo kind of sets you back by not getting Arukeni and Mummy to swing into security. So when that Digimon stack dies, you can gain 1 for the Digimon being deleted, 2, 3, 4 for however many analog youths you have, 5 if you have Tsukaimon, and you get basically 2 to 3 memory back consistently based on my tournament experience, and you get a raising Digimon and raising. So you can actually set up the Impmon for a Beelzemon next turn if you really want to push the aggression. So there's kind of like a push back and then a leap forward in terms of game mechanics and how the deck plays out if you don't brick. Next, we're running 2 copies of Mega Digimon Fusion. This is kind of like the bread and butter spammeroni of the deck. This is how you spam out your Zwarts and get Zwarts when attacking effect. And also spam out more Arukenimon, whatever, basically what you need to get more Malomyotismon out on the board. Just goes to the bottom of the deck too, and that is actually so clutch. I've learned to kind of realize how good this card is in terms of that regard. I usually think of that as an afterthought, but the fact that it goes to the bottom of the deck is huge because you're not decking out as quickly. So this 1 win rate was actually not necessary at all. I think it would have been better just being a Darkness Claw or another Zwart, but it did come clutch once where I had to go into a level 5 and I only had 2 memories. So I got into the level 5 and then I was able to bring out Malo for free because I had like analog youths, and then I Mega Fusion to go into Zwart and then brought out 2 more bodies and then kind of went ham. So it was really pretty lit. But because it's such a one-off interaction, I don't think it's necessary. Stick to being consistent, and you're good. 1 copy of Underworld's Call. This card, honestly, didn't do much for me. This should be a Darkness Claw. I mean, at the very least, it got me a draw when I absolutely needed to unbrick, so there's that. But, honestly, Heat Viper and Underworld's Call are the last 2 cards of the deck, and win rate. So, honestly, win rate should be a Zwart, and Heat Viper and Underworld's Call should really be Darkness Claw. I realize now that Darkness Claw would have come in super clutch because it's plus 3k DP to a Digimon for 1 cost when you play it. So your Malo could go into 15k and swing over bonds that happen to stay on the board. And it swings over Zwart defeat, so even if you don't get piercing, you can at least, kill it, and then chances are they'll target Malo anyway, and then you can bring it out later anyway. And then it swings over Jesmon if they don't have the Sistermon CLs. Or even if they did, they need like 2 CLs maybe for you to, get over it. So it's really good. I think, and then in security, it's just a Hammer Spark. So definitely consider Darkness Claw or Death Claw, which is the one that just trades Digimon. But that is the deck profile, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. I had so much fun with this. Thank goodness I went 3-3. And I love that the community has been so supportive. Like, everyone that I've faced has really enjoyed the deck that I played. And I actually felt like I was getting a good amount of respect for getting wins out of people with an absolutely non-meta BT 1.5 updated deck. So Malomyotismon, I can't wait to see you in BT 8. And I might try to find ways to play in BT 7. Probably not. Not gonna lie, it's very hybrid heavy, so probably not. But yeah, I mean, that's that. Thank you guys so much for paying attention to the deck profile. I'm on Twitch too, Joe Dobby, and take care. Bye.